Welcome to this session. I'm really happy to moderate. I'm the chair of this session. My name is Manu Fernandez. I work as the program coordinator of the Smart City Expo Congress we organize abroad from Barcelona. And I'm really happy we join and gather here to work about living labs and different kinds of methods, approaches and tools that want to open innovation and to find new ways to collaborate and to integrate different stakeholders and agents to the processes that that we are working with to promote urban innovation. We will have 5 speakers, all of them with a huge background and competence in their field. They are all of them working actively in promoting in their cities and in their countries different strategies and projects related to open innovations, not only living labs. And they will speak for 5 minutes. I think it's really challenging for them to keep that time, but in the end, it's also a good way to concentrate on key messages and make it more fruitful. Let me just introduce them before I give them the word. First of all, we will have Natalia Quintero. She is the director of the Transit Tech Lab in New York. She's quite focused on integrating open innovation processes in a very specific sector, which is transit, that it's a challenge for any city. We will have good insights from their organization and their work. Then we will have Edna Pasher from the Israel Smart Cities Institute. She's the founder and chairperson, and she will also share with us their own approaches. Thank you very much for being here. Then Jesús García López, he works for the Municipal government of Chihuahua. He is the Deputy Director of Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Smart Cities. He will deliver his presentation in Spanish, but I think somehow or another we will also manage to understand his approach and his messages. We are very grateful also to have Oliver Kraft from Siemens. He's greeting from there. He is from Germany, but he is now based in Dubai, working for Siemens as the executive director of Expo 2020 in Dubai. And finally, we will have Thomas Turk from the Tallinn City Enterprise Department. He is the chief of innovation of the city. So as you can see, we will have different approaches, sectors in which we are trying to integrate open innovation approaches and living labs, and I really hope we can learn from all of them. So Natalia, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Great, thank you. All right. So my name is Natalia Quintero, and I am the director of the Transit Tech Lab. Thank you for the introduction. And what I'll do first is I'll walk you through what it means to be the director of the Transit Tech Lab. So the New York City has one of the largest public transit systems in the world. And in fact, New York City has the largest public transit system in North America. But for the past 2 decades, the transit system has deteriorated in its ability to serve the public. And as of about 18 months ago, the Transit Tech Lab was introduced to New York City to help improve public transit for New Yorkers and for the over 1 billion riders that use the system every year. And so what that means is that the lab is really a conduit. It's a bridge between the public transit system in New York and emerging private sector technology companies that want to help improve mobility and public transit and basically bring those technologies to New York City. So the way that our program works is we go around the world and we identify interesting technology companies that New York City should be using. We then have an application process to evaluate those technologies, and for technologies that fit a criteria for which it makes sense to bring to New York City, there's an 8-week process that those companies can go through to evaluate their technology, to be paired with subject matter experts, and to basically find a path to working with one of the largest public transit systems in the world. So before I move ahead, let me just get a show of hands. How many of you have been to New York City? Okay, great. And how many of you rode the subway in New York City? Okay, great. So you're familiar with how critical it is of an infrastructure piece that we have in the city and how important it is that we have a system that operates on time. So with the Transit Tech Lab, what we do is we work with the MTA, which is the primary public transit agency. Again, it's one of the largest in the world. And we bring all of the other kind of relevant stakeholders in the regional transit world to collaborate to evaluate emerging technology companies or mobility companies that New York City should be working with. So that includes the MTA, Amtrak, New Jersey Transit, the Department of Transportation, the Taxi and Limousine Commission, and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And so what that means is that for mobility companies that are interested in doing business with New York and that are interested in improving public transit, the Transit Tech Lab is probably the most effective way for you to get in front of subject matter experts and city leaders that are interested in integrating your, innovative ideas into New York. So I'll give you an example of what that looked like in the last year. And before I do that, I'll just walk you through what the process looks like again. So right now, we're in the application process where companies that are interested in working with New York City can apply until November 30th at transitinnovation.org to submit your proposal of how your technology can improve public transit in the city. And then semifinalists are selected by the end of December, and then they're invited to come and do an in-person presentation in January with all of the public transit leaders in New York. If you are then selected to work with New York, you participate in an 8-week accelerator that begins on February 24th. And what you get in that 8-week period is access to all of the relevant stakeholders and subject matter experts that relate to your technology, and you get a kind of dedicated program that will help you and your technology be successful in the context of New York. Basically, at the end of 8 weeks, you have a very deep understanding of how your technology could work if it's integrated in New York, and what the appropriate path to moving forward would be for your company. At the end of that 8-week period, if it makes sense to move forward with this particular technology or with your company, then there is an opportunity to move forward into a year-long pilot where we evaluate what that kind of longer-term relationship would look like with the city. So just to walk you through what's happened in the past year, we have one case study, Remix, and I think we might actually have one of our alumni representatives in the audience. He'll come around later. So Remix is this software solution for bus design, for bus route design. And bus route design is not the sexiest topic, but when done well, it's actually one of the coolest and most beautiful things you can do in redesigning a city. So New York City has been going through this process of basically, kind of looking at a blank map and designing every bus route in New York City so that it serves the needs of New Yorkers today. And if you think about what that process would look like, traditionally today, the way that you would redesign a bus route is you would print a map, you would laminate it, you would get 2 color markers, and then you would just start drawing on the map and debate what bus route you think is better than another. And with Remix, they have this really beautiful software solution where I can draw bus routes, you can draw bus routes, and really understand what the impact is of that bus route across the demographics, the socioeconomic people that live in that particular area of the city. If there are schools or hospitals that might need to be serviced by different kinds of transportation modes. And in the past year, Remix applied to the Transit Tech Lab November of 2018. They went through the accelerator, they're now in the pilot, and they have already helped New York City Transit redesign the entire borough of the Bronx, which is an incredible accomplishment. And that's just in 12 months, essentially. So about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had Andy Byford, who's at the helm of New York City Transit and a really fantastic leader, announce the Bronx redesign, and the councilmen of the Bronx really hailed it as completely serving the needs of residents of the Bronx. And I think this is what can happen when we kind of engage with software solutions that are off the shelf, already exist, and that we can bring to the city. So I think I kind of spoke to this already. What does it mean to work with the Trans Tech Lab? I think one of the key things for companies that are interested in working with New York City is that it offers this streamlined way to get a sense of whether there is a there. Sometimes companies want to understand, I have this really crazy cool idea. Will someone in the city be interested in working with my idea? Basically, over the course of our program, you will get a clear yes or no. And if you get a no, sometimes you can also get a why, which for entrepreneurs can be really helpful. Lastly, in 2020, we have 3 specific challenges that we're focused on, and I just want to highlight them for any entrepreneurs in the audience that might have any solutions that are relevant to this. So we have an accessibility challenge. So we're looking for technology that can help make New York's public transit system more accessible. And, we have a capital plan of $50 billion, or $52.2 billion, that's going to be spent over the next 5 years to improve New York City's transit system. $5 billion of which will go to installing new elevators and doing a whole bunch of other kind of infrastructure-heavy investments. But beyond those infrastructure-heavy investments, we're looking for software or wayfinding technology that can help people that have different disabilities basically navigate the public transit system better. The second challenge is around reducing congestion by better managing the curb. So any company that can, basically reduce congestion or basically create kind of analytics and insights around what's happening in New York City and how we can reduce congestion is welcome to apply to that. And then the last one is kind of a big bucket item, which is how can we basically generate more entrepreneurial revenue? And there are a whole bunch of ways that we can do that. So I think that this is kind of an open question where we're looking to you to kind of address how our public transit system can generate more revenue. And then the very last thing that I'll say is that for companies, for kind of bigger companies that are interested in working with the city, particularly on the signaling initiative that's underway, we invite you to join us on December 10th for a signaling summit that we'll be hosting in New York City. You can find all of this information at transitinnovation.org, and I'll be around if you have any follow-up questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Natalia. Edna, your turn.
I like New York. I did my PhD at NYU, but I will tell you today about a project that we are doing in China, which is a great example for urban living labs. The project is called Trans-Urban EU China. It is funded by the European Union, and it allows for knowledge sharing between half of the consortium are Europeans. I come from Tel Aviv. Israel is considered a full member of the R&D program of the European Union. Everybody says, how come you are getting money from the EU? We invest in the EU. We were invited to join in FP4 many years ago, and we joined then, and since then we love collaborating. We are now in the age where lots of opportunities are in China, as you might know. The biggest initiative is what is called the One Road, One Belt, or One Belt, One Road, which is to do a big renaissance of the old road, historical road that was in the past. And there are so many opportunities there, and it's really fascinating. So how do you create a future with so many people from so many different countries and manage not to do too many mistakes? The way to do it is through urban living labs. I come from an institute that is called Israel Smart Cities Institute. It's an NGO, and we are looking to help municipalities all over the world to succeed in this transition. You have some pictures in from our project. You can see the European faces and the Chinese faces, young and old, and we all work together. How do we do that? We just implement the idea. Now, what is the idea of living laboratories? It is to engage the end users in the development of whatever new application, hardware, software, whatever you want, new plan. You don't just sit and plan and then you go and sell it. In cities, this is extremely important because, for example, in China, we are now involved in 4 living labs. One of them is the what is supposed to become the smartest city in the world. It's a new city near Beijing, and it's called Chihuahua, and it is fascinating. Just as an example, the Chinese planted there 200,000 trees. Each tree has sensors that tell you how well is the tree, if the tree is thirsty or hungry, etc., etc. But when I talk to some of my friends in Beijing and I ask them, will you move to this new city? They say, no, why should we move? And I say, what do you mean? It's going to be so great. No. They miss some intangibles there. So what we try in our part of the project, both online and offline, is to show how you can engage potential future residents, not only current residents, how you can engage potential future residents in the designing of the new city, the new neighborhood, etc. The pictures that you see are pictures taken from a method that we use often, which is called a knowledge cafe, like a coffee shop where people sit together. You can see the picture and design the future together. Now, sometimes I am asked if this is a scientific method. I have to tell you that it is very scientific. I come from the academic world. It is action research. You learn through doing, and it is very rigorous. It is based on the theory of complexity. Cities are complex adaptive systems. They are just like the human body. They grow, they co-evolve with the environment, and you have to engage all stakeholders. I see some friends here from China, maybe. It is very difficult to introduce this bottom-up action research in China because most of the work there is top-down. Yet I am amazed to see that they are very open to collaborate with us and to experiment. So the secret is to do a lot of experimentation. Even in a country that has a culture of top-down planning, you can introduce bottom-up planning if you do it slowly with little experiments. I'm almost done. With little experiments, and you move forward. By the way, the best people to start engaging, we know, are students. You ask students what type of city will make them stay in it. They come to study in universities, and very often they go back home. So if you talk to them and you ask them, what will make you stay in Wuhan, or what will make you stay in Chengdu, what will make you stay in Tianjin, etc., you can get a good feel for the future. So I was very honored to be after the young lady before me that came from New York. I have all the details here if you want to stay in touch. Thank you for inviting me, and we will stay around. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edna, especially for being so provocative and positive at the same time. Now we will have Jesús García López, and we will have the chance to understand how their smart city efforts are integrating living labs and other open innovation approaches to their efforts.
Hola. Bueno, primeramente agradeciendo la invitación a este congreso tan interesante. Yo vengo de la ciudad de Chihuahua. La ciudad de Chihuahua está pegado a Estados Unidos, al sur de Estados Unidos. Ahí estamos ubicados nosotros. Y de alguna manera para nosotros es un reto bastante importante en el sentido de que estamos cerca de Estados Unidos, pero estamos en una zona muy conflictiva desde el punto de vista de la delincuencia y todo eso. Entonces, tenemos que sacar algunas cosas que nos deben de ayudar para hacer realmente de Chihuahua una ciudad inteligente. Básicamente, lo que les quiero comentar es cómo el modelo de la cuádruple hélice en Chihuahua ha estado funcionando de manera bastante interesante. El reto en Chihuahua es que muchas de las instituciones que trabajan dentro del municipio son instituciones que trabajan de manera separada, incluso de manera en competencia. El reto principal es ponerlos de acuerdo. ¿Cómo vencerlo? Pues básicamente a través de la neutralización de protagonismos. En segundo lugar, crear objetivos de manera comunes o afines a los actores. En tercer lugar, hacer que todas las iniciativas sean ciudadanizadas, porque en México pasa muy común que cuando cambia un gobierno, cambian las iniciativas o el gobierno entrante trata de eliminar lo que son los éxitos del gobierno anterior. Entonces tratamos de ciudadanizarlo para que este movimiento no pase. Y lo más importante es que las instituciones puedan llegar a ser autosustentables. ¿Qué quiere decir? Que no dependan del gobierno directamente. Ese es un reto que nosotros hemos tenido bastante fuerte. ¿Cómo lo logramos? Nosotros creamos un Living Lab dentro de lo que es la ciudad de Chihuahua, utilizando una infraestructura de un área de maquiladoras, que allá es muy común. Utilizamos una bodega y ahí implementamos a través del clúster de tecnologías de información un Living Lab orientado al desarrollo de todo lo que es IoT, todo lo que es tecnologías de información y todo lo que es manejo y desarrollo de básicamente modelajes en 3D. Básicamente así es como está presentado previo a lo que es el Living Lab, la estructura que está trabajándose en Chihuahua. La academia por un lado, los gobiernos por otro lado, hablando del gobierno federal, estatal y municipal. Por otro lado, la sociedad civil, que es muy fuerte en México, y por otro lado, las empresas. Básicamente lo que nosotros hicimos es conjuntamos todos los esfuerzos, creamos el Living Lab y creamos un ecosistema único. Este ecosistema está integrado actualmente por 65 instituciones, las cuales se ponen ahora ya de acuerdo para poder establecer políticas públicas en pro de lo que es la ciudad inteligente. La cuádruple hélice está conformada en este momento por el clúster de tecnologías de información, cerca de 50 empresas del área de tecnología de información, la participación de instituciones educativas a nivel universitario básicamente, lo que es el gobierno, en el caso de nosotros el municipio aportamos los recursos para que el Living Lab pueda tener o ser funcional, y en el último punto lo que es la sociedad civil, que como les digo en México funciona bastante bien. Tenemos un modelo de asociación civil que es un modelo a nivel mundial exitoso que se llama FECHAC, que es un fideicomiso donde aportan los empresarios el 2% de los impuestos y de ahí se van creando proyectos específicos, entre ellos el Living Lab. El Living Lab de Chihuahua es un laboratorio de innovación ciudadana donde los ciudadanos pueden ir a presentar sus propuestas en mejora de la ciudad misma. De esto pueden ir desde el tema de la iluminación de la ciudad, desde el tema de la seguridad, que por cierto Chihuahua cuenta con un nuevo sistema que se llama Plataforma Chihuahua, que es una plataforma de seguridad donde hemos logrado reducir a través de este proyecto de una iniciativa ciudadana en un 45% la incidencia delictuosa. Entonces, este proyecto surge a partir de lo que es el Living Lab. Básicamente las acciones que trabajamos dentro del Living Lab son 5, un área cowork donde tenemos proyectos de startups que están trabajando directamente con proyectos de ciudad inteligente. Tenemos un área de protolab donde se están generando a través de impresoras 3D y CNCs todo lo que tiene que ver relacionado con maquetamientos. Por otro lado tenemos un laboratorio de IoT donde estamos trabajando todo lo que es el software embebido para todo lo que es tanto la industria en Chihuahua, que es una industria que estamos tratando de orientarla hacia la industria inteligente, como también para lo que es la aplicación de los sistemas de la misma ciudad. Tenemos un área de entrevista y un área de training. En el área de training les quiero comentar que logramos un convenio con la empresa Dassault, quienes manejan un software de maquetación, y ellos nos lograron donar $2 millones en licencias, los cuales están siendo utilizados por los startups. Básicamente es un lugar pequeño, son 510 metros cuadrados, tenemos 4 salas de juntas, un área de auditorio, un área de capacitación, cowork, 32% de espacios privados, laboratorio de IoT, la inversión fue por $250,000, los cuales surgen por parte del gobierno municipal. Dentro del espacio colaborativo, como les digo, conviven 60 instituciones y estas organizaciones están constantemente integrando ideas nuevas para la ciudad. El proyecto ya es sustentable al 100%, ya vive de sus propios recursos, lo que hace que esto le dé una permanencia a largo plazo, ya no va a depender del gobierno y eso para nosotros es bastante acertado. Básicamente hemos impactado en lo que es 18 meses a 7,982 personas. Tenemos 23 proyectos de startups incubados dentro del cowork. Quiero mencionar que estos proyectos están siendo enviados a aceleradoras internacionales como Techstars, Startup Chile, como UMass, donde nosotros estamos financiando para que ellos se desarrollen de manera más eficiente. Y básicamente estas son las actividades que nosotros realizamos dentro de lo que es el Living Lab, clubes de programación, asesorías, capacitaciones, training y todo esto. Estas son las organizaciones que integran lo que es el Living Lab. Si ustedes observan son bastantes, entre ellas el clúster que es el IscI, el municipio de Chihuahua, el CODER, y todas las demás son las startups que están trabajando dentro de este Living Lab. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Jesús. Well, I think with this talk we could see an illustration of how a living lab of a small size works. Now we will have the chance to make it bigger, to scale up, and to understand how a project such as 2020 in Dubai can also work from these kind of approaches. We have Oliver Kraft for this talk. We are really happy to have you here. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Does it work? Okay. So what Ben always loves, he is our head of communications, is when I start with taking a picture of all of you. Because that's how it works these days with social media, right? So I got 2 questions before I go into the details of Expo 2020. First one is, did you ever Google smart city and how many results did you get? Any ideas, guesses? Number? Nobody? 1 million, 10 million, 1 billion? 3.7 billion. So obviously the topic of smart city matters to all of us, I guess, because 53% of people are already living in cities, and the number is going to go up over the next 10 years. So hold that thought. Second question, what makes a city smart? Any ideas? Well, huh?
Happy people.
Happy people, exactly. Happy people, and that is a very good thought, because in the end, there's lots of technology which will help you to make a city smart. However, it's all about inclusivity. And I want to give you the 2 cents about IoT. If you do IoT, the Internet of Things, right, then it will help us to make smarter decisions every day. And if you can do that, then we get peace of mind, and yes, then we will be happy people. Exactly. Now, coming to the actual topic. When Expo 2020 in Dubai will open its gates as of October 2020, it will be the biggest mega event in the world. Over a period of 6 months, they expect 25 million visits, up to 300,000 visitors per day, on a size of a campus of 4.4 square kilometers, which is twice the size of Monaco. Twice the size of Monaco. So, and with its main theme, connecting minds and creating the future, it will focus on key topics of our time, which is mobility, sustainability, and opportunity. And it will also become, in addition to the biggest mega event of the world, it will be the platform for the world's greatest innovators, for pragmatists, for idealists, for families, for people like you and me, and in the end, for all those with high hopes for the future. So 194 nations will join, including your country. This is about inclusiveness. Now, as a company, Siemens, we have a broad portfolio, and we've been in existence for 170 plus years. And we thought, what are top priorities in urban environments? And in the end, we thought, okay, how do we convert this 4.4 square kilometer site into a smart city district? Because, by the way, it's going to live on everything. What you see here, 80% of the buildings, we are talking 150 plus buildings, will remain in legacy. So what kind of portfolio elements do you need to select? But the first step, you say, what is important? What are the top priorities? In smart cities, comfort, safety, security, and all of that in terms of supporting sustainability and based on IoT, the Internet of Things. Now, in the area of safety and security, we selected a physical security solution, which is up there, and Afzal loves when I say Vantage. We will bring up to 15,000 cameras on campus and provide access to 100 operators on campus. We will also connect 3,500 doors via our access control solution, CPaaS. In the area of comfort, we will have our building management system, the Zego, which will connect 21 individual systems and will make sure that the visitors, so if you come, feel comfortable within the buildings, because we spend roughly 90% of our time in buildings. Last but not least, it's all about sustainability. With our Navigator Energy Analytics cloud-based platform, we will connect more than 137 buildings. In addition to that, we will provide 2 substations. A substation is basically many boxes actually, which will help you to convert from higher voltage electricity to lower voltage electricity to make it usable in factories and homes. And last but not least, we will showcase the first green hydrogen storage solution in the Middle East and in North Africa. Basically, what we are doing is we're taking green energy, means solar energy, and we split water into hydrogen molecules and oxygen molecules. And then we use the hydrogen in order to store energy and use it when the sun does not shine to re-electrify. But of course, there are other use cases possible, like you can also fuel cars with it. Now, last but not least, no smart city without IoT. You need the Internet of Things for a smart city. This is basically the nearest system, the backbone, the glue that brings everything together. Very important. Now, for Expo, we decided to focus on 3 domains with our IoT operating system MindSphere. First, environmental monitoring. Secondly, smart lighting. Third, smart irrigation. Why smart irrigation? 70% of all water used globally will be used for irrigation. Out of the 70%, 60% gets lost. Now, it's of utmost importance in terms of sustainability that you irrigate at the right time with the right amount of water. And how do you do that? You measure moisture in the soil. You measure, of course, you analyze weather data and wind speed, etc., and then after you've done your analysis, you correlate, you contextualize, you visualize, and then you allow smart decision making. So we will make sure that we monitor equipment to identify pipes, bursts, and leakages, that we monitor at the right time, and by doing that, that we irrigate at the right time, and by doing that, we will eliminate human errors. Second topic I want to share with you, which is very special for our region, is environmental monitoring. That means we monitor air quality indoors, and we monitor air quality outdoors. And yes, outdoors, we club it together again with other data like wind speed, particulate matter, etc., in order to predict sandstorms. Dubai, there's a lot of sand surrounding Dubai. Now, last but not least, smart lighting, very important. We figured out that there is a direct correlation between the right level of looks, the right level of lighting, of course also thermal comfort and air quality, and your productivity. Productivity of an individual human being can go up by up to 11% if you do it appropriately. Now, with that being said, I come to my last slide. I mentioned earlier 4.4 square kilometers of smart campus. Now, consider that the state-of-the-art technology which we will implement there will remain in the future. These 2 facts together bring us to the conclusion that on the one hand side, yes, we will create the most connected Expo ever. We bring it on IoT, but also we will create a blueprint for future smart cities. That means what we can do there, of course, we can do everywhere. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Oliver, for being so strict and clear in your talk. Finally, we have Thomas Turk from the Tallinn City Enterprise Department. Tell us about your approach and what you're doing.
No mic here. Okay. Trying to. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be the last person, and this can be my introduction for you to also to the Estonian Booth networking happy hour, which starts right now in 3 minutes. When we talk about this open innovation in our terms, then this is about not only open processes, open data, it's also about services. Service management is really, really important. And for that, we have already this new age legacy, which is coming from our startup ecosystem. So it really means that there are several companies already on the market who actually influence their other stakeholders and giving the next generation of new mindset for the cities, for the companies, for the people. From city perspective, we don't do this all alone. We have this ecosystem, and this ecosystem for Tallinn, for example, consists of different incubators, industrial parks, It's also international networks, even to the space agency, for example. But we also see that in a specific mode, this innovation comes from very specific areas. For example, we have this A category movie festival. We have also these startup events, and it's also about the music industry, for example. And even this bow tie here I have at the moment is coming from this creative industry style. So going back to the city perspective, we see in a longer perspective that there are three very important pillars for us. The first thing is that we need to concentrate on the better everyday life. So we are very famous for these digital agendas that we already have from the state level. Also for the local government, this is important to have this hassle-free services, hassle-free approach for that. So this is where the living labs come in, is also the enjoyable neighborhoods. So the neighborhoods, these districts where people are joining together to work, to live. This is really important to have this city perspective there as well. And of course, we see this startup-minded people to become to be more active and also take care of the ones who are not so capable to have the proper work life or have other topics. But here I'm also to introduce to you guys our concept, and this is really a process, and we see that describing the bottlenecks, getting the understanding what is behind each and every solution is really important also for the local governments. We also see that finding these ideas is a very good case for triple or quadruple helix system. We also promote very much prototyping. It's the same case that was presented in the first presentation. So we are looking forward to all these technology solutions as well. And we see that our government, our local government, is also as a first customer for some of the companies. And of course, we are here to support these products that are based on this or outcome of this concept. And we also have launched a new concept for Innovation, so Innovation Story. And there is a website and information available also in internet. And we see that this is a great opportunity to welcome all the other countries, cities, companies to test Tallinn, for example. And the last slide, or two of them, are about also that what we like to develop. We don't want to see anymore this project. We want to see a very sustainable way of doing the innovation. And there is a whole process developed for that, so you can browse it later as well. But for us, the cooperation is international level. It's about education. Education is really, really hot topic for developing the people to make them happy. And Competence Center for Europe will be launched in December in Tallinn, for example. And we also have several other events taking place in that field. So people are asking all the time, so cities, where actually do you see the future? And for us, the future is, of course, about less CO2. It's a concentration on and focus on data, health, education, and of course, cybersecurity. And you can always become e-resident of our country or our city, so there is opportunity for that as well. It's called e-residency. So thank you very much, and looking forward to network with you later in Estonian booth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas, and thank you all the speakers. I'm really sorry to say we ran out of time. It's my fault, because that was one of my goals, to keep some time for some discussion of questions from the audience. Anyhow, all of them are here, and I guess they are all happy to be approached or to have any kind of encounter or talk with you. I hope you enjoyed this time and this session. I'm really thankful for all your preparations, especially for the speakers and all the people that attended the session. And of course, all of you that were here with this session. Thank you very much.